All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Jennifer Chow. She is the CEO and Managing Director for Chimeric Therapeutics. And Jennifer, it's always great to have you back. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me back, Steve. It's good to see you.
Yeah, so some super interesting news that we have to share with everyone. We'll do that in just a second, but maybe just give everyone a quick refresher on Chimeric and what it is the company does.
I'd love to. Thanks, Steve. So Chimeric Therapeutics is a clinical stage cell therapy company. We're listed on the ASX under the ticker CHM, and we were founded last year in 2020 and listed publicly in January of 2021. The mission for our company is really all about bringing that promise of cell therapy to life for patients. And Steve, what I mean by that is what we've seen with cell therapies or CAR T therapies so far is potentially curative therapies for cancer patients. So our goal is really to discover, develop, and then ultimately commercialize additional therapies that can have that kind of impact for patients.
So in essence, right now, when you're dealing with this type of treatment for cancer, it's sort of a one size fits all, whereas CAR T is very, very cellular level. So it really looks at the person themselves and directs the medications or whatever needs to happen directly for that person. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's fair. So CAR T therapies right now, the autologous CAR T therapies that are on the market and currently approved are individualized. To your point, Steve, they actually use a patient's own cells, and we take those cells and we genetically engineer them to enhance them to be able to fight a patient's cancer. And then we put them back in that same patient. So we're really very individualized, making very individualized therapies with CAR T therapies.
So the news, as I mentioned, it was released in two releases, and I want to sort of put them both together for us. It was presented to the Society for Neuro-Oncology. So tell us what came out of these two sort of dumps of information that you've had.
Yeah, happy to. So you're right. It was presented at the Society of Neuro-Oncology scientific meeting. And basically what it was is it was a very early look at the clinical data from our phase 1 clinical trial that's ongoing at City of Hope Hospital in California. And then it was also a bit of an insight or a look into some of the basic research that is ongoing as well to help us understand a little bit more about how our lead asset, our chlortoxin CAR T, works. So what we saw now, and very early days, so very small number of patients. This data was actually on 4 patients that were in the very first dose level in the phase 1 clinical trial. But what we did see at that dose level was early signs of potential efficacy. So we saw a 75% disease control rate, meaning that 3 out of the 4 patients that were treated were able to achieve a best response of stable disease. And we saw that durability for about up to 8 weeks in the patients. We also saw from an efficacy perspective something really interesting, which was regional control where the actual chlortoxin CAR T cells were administered. So in this particular trial, we give the cells directly into a patient's tumor cavity through a catheter, and we actually saw regional control there. Where the patient actually progressed was away from where we were giving the cells. So that was very encouraging for us in terms of very early efficacy data. We also then, Steve, saw promising safety profiles. So we saw no dose limiting toxicities, which is critical for us. We saw that the therapy, the chlortoxin CAR T cells, were generally well tolerated, and none of the CRS or cytokine release syndrome that's often associated with CAR T therapies. And then from a bioactivity perspective, which really is just about how long or do the cells, when they're infused into a patient, stay alive. So it's important to us to make sure the cells stay alive so they can go and find the cancer and do their job. And we were able to demonstrate that. So that was all of, Steve, the first abstract that you were talking about with all of the clinical data in it. The second abstract really provided us with a little bit more insight into how chlortoxin works with MMP2 expression. And it also gave us some insight into where we're going to head next. So we're really excited to move chlortoxin into a phase 1 clinical trial for other solid tumors. And some of the basic research that was presented suggests that one of those tumors is going to be metastatic melanoma. So lots there, Steve, but very, very highly encouraging initial data and very exciting.
Yeah, and just so people understand, even the smallest advancement can make a huge difference in development for sure. So now you mentioned that phase one is still continuing in California. What does that lead to now in 2022? Do you hope to expand it?
Yes, absolutely, Steve. So in 2022, our goal now is to actually expand that clinical trial to additional sites so that we can enhance the timing for recruitment and then also open that second clinical trial that I was talking about with chlorotoxin in other solid tumors.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there. Jennifer, thanks so much. Congratulations on this initial data. It's very interesting, and we look forward to hearing more about it as the months roll on. So great to see you again. Thank you.
You as well. Thanks so much, Steve.
All right. There's Jennifer Chow. She's the CEO and Managing Director for Chimeric Therapeutics.